Hi everyone. Today we are going to start a new chapter, chapter 8, entitled Numerical Data. So normally we are going to investigate some new concepts in statistics, and so starting with the variables, what we mean by variables and what are the different types of variables that we use in statistic and probability in our lives. So normally variables are indeed quantities that vary or change in value. Okay, but we should know that we have a dependent and independent variable. Normally, the independent variable has a natural progress, like time. We can't stop time. We can't manage. Also, we can't go back in time. We can't go faster in time. So normally has a natural flow. Okay, so I think we have a variable that depend of the time, and time is most of the time independent, used as independent variable. So when graphing the relationship between two variables, the independent variables, normally in all the cases, the independent variable is placed on the horizontal axis to represent and to graph the variation of the dependent with respect to the independent variable. So normally the axis, the horizontal axis is dedicated for the independent variable, and the vertical axis is gonna work with the dependent variable to show the variation of this one related to this one. Good. Let's move. So they ask us to consider the statements below and to state the variables being compared. For example, the height of the candle and the time. Normally we have here two nouns, the height, the time. So when the time, while progressing in time, the height of the candle shrink, okay, is going to be shorter. Good. So normally the height is the dependent variable, which depends from the time. When the time is known as independent variable. So easy. So the height of the candle depends on the length of the time it has been burning. The length of time the candle has been burning does not depend on the height of the candle. Good. And the height, so we should decide which variable is dependent. Good. The height of a burning candle decreases with time. Yes, of course. And the bigger the hole, the more people can attend the concert in part B. I'm good for it. Okay. Let's move. These are two other, for example, two different examples. So these questions to be answered for these two examples. So I answered for the first example, and the second sample is given in details in here. Moving to the following exercises, and they ask us the same question about these examples on these different situations. For example, the share of lottery prize decreases as the number of winners increases. Okay, when the number of winners increases, we know that the lottery prize decreases for each one of them. So normally we have the lottery prize, okay, we have the number of winners. So we have two different variable here, the number of winners and the lottery prize. Okay, and we have as independent variable the number of winners, and the dependent variable the lottery prize, because when the number of winners increase, so has a negative impact on the lottery prize, which decreases. Okay, so and you can do by yourself the remaining examples. Moving on to know more about the bivariate numerical data. What we mean by bivariate. In the previous slides, we talk about single variable data. Analysis examines one variable only. When we examine one variable, no, we examine two variables. But we are going to, for example, study or run a comparison between the two quantities. So bivariate data analysis compares two variables. For example, the length of an arm and the height. Okay, so normally in the previous session, previous slides, also we talk more about different variables. But if we investigate two variables in the same time to compare it in the same time, so we are talking about bivariate numerical data, and we want to graph it. As we said before, the independent in the horizontal axis, the dependent on the vertical axis. And also you should know, in reading the graph, the most important thing is to focus on the highest point, the lowest points, and the trend of the evolution, like downwards, horizontal, upward, and so on. For example, in this graph, they told us that all ordinaries price index is a measure of the collective value of share prices on the Australian Stock Exchange. This graph shows the end of month value of the index for 2012. Okay, the different months and the variation. This graph is about the variation of all ordinaries price index for 2012 along the month of the years. Okay, months of the years. In which month was the index highest? Normally we go to search for a peak or a summit. The highest summit. The highest summit is here. So normally it is the highest value vertically. We search it vertically. The highest one is here. So and we should be aware about the scale. Normally for 1, 2, 3, and 4, for 4 small steps, like blue steps here, gray steps here. Okay, we have from 600 to 800, we have a 200. So normally 50, 50, 50, 50. So each small step is 50. And normally we are not here. We are, okay, more higher by one step. So normally it is 4,650. 4,650. Okay, for the highest. In which month? In the month in December. Okay, the lowest, we have the lowest, we search for a valley, like the lowest value that we have vertically here and here in May and June approximately are equal. And describe the trend for this year. So the trend is the evolution. When the evolution increases, decreases, and also increases. So normally we can say the trend was upward until April. Okay, then downwards until June, then steadily, continuously upward to December, but with different slope. Okay, this small lines increases with different slope. So we can say it differently, that the index increased steadily until April, dropped for May, downwards, we say downward, dropped for May and June, then it gradually increased until it reached its highest value in December. So the same, we should go to speak in the same way and to explain the same similarly for the same study for 2013 about all ordinaries price index along the year, this year. So as we see here, we have a peak here, we have a valley here. So normally in June we have a reach the ordinaries price reached the lowest, and in October the highest. And about the trends, we can say that upward, downward, upward, downward until to reach its lowest price, and increases steadily to the highest price, and then decrease again in November before slightly increased in December. And you can see it as upward, downward, or like this. Okay. Also, the following exercises are very similar. You can do it by yourself. You have all the answer keys in front of you. Thank you for listening. Bye bye. Have a nice day.